Hey guys, I'm Nick. On today's question and answer, we're going to cover a question that came in from RJ. He asked a bunch of questions, but we're just going to stick with the first part so we can give you guys a thorough answer on at least one topic. His question was about bottom fishing for red snapper. All right. The hardest part about bottom fishing for red snapper from a kayak is finding the red snapper. Outside of that, those things are stupid. They're easy to catch. 100%. They're not very challenging to catch. You can catch them a bunch of different ways. Live bait, frozen bait, freshly dead bait, artificials. You can catch them. You just need to find them. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and I'm going to tell you how we have found quality red snapper spots year after year. Years ago, I was on the beach, and a young kid came up, and he asked me about my fish finder, and I was showing him some stuff, and he was like, dude, you need to delete your tracks, man. Like, you just asked me how to use it. Now you're questioning me on, what I'm doing, all right? So I don't delete my tracks. Every year, I leave my tracks all season until I decide, hey, whatever, I'll delete it, or we go fish somewhere else. One, it doesn't hurt anything at all. So it does not slow down your machine or anything. So I leave my tracks on there. And the reason I leave my tracks on there is if I'm going to fish bottom spot A, we'll call it A, and then I'm going to go fish bottom spot number 2. Instead of pedaling over the exact same line I take every single day, or pedaling from the launch to number 2, instead of pedaling a straight line over the same exact spot of water, I will pedal east or west and then come in from a different angle. And that has allowed me to gridlock entire areas. So I have drawn straight lines in tons and tons of areas. So take spot A, or spot 1, spot 2, and go from here to here. But instead of going in a straight line over the same exact piece of water every single day, I've gone north and I've come across it. I've gone south and I've come across it. I've come across it at an angle. I've come across it backwards. I've come across it from every single angle with different currents, different winds on a different route. Now, even with downscan, not using side scan, the last 2 years I have opted to not install a side scan unit on my kayak. Obviously, I only keep a kayak for 6 to 9 months and I sell it. I got tired of putting a $1,200 fish finder on there just to sell it for half the price a year later. So I have used only down imaging units for the last 2 years, and we have not had a single problem finding more red snapper spots because I have stopped pedaling over the same exact places. So instead of going the same route every single day, try going a different direction. Now, I know that with the recent development in the last year of the Navarre Beach Reef Formation, that there are 500 structures out there. They're all in a 1 by 2 mile area. That's awesome. That has allowed a ton of people to go out there and catch fish. That's also pressured a ton of fish that have come to that area. Now, those fish didn't just show up. There was already quality structure in that area before they dropped all that stuff. So it had a great start. And it's going to maintain, it turns out to be a fantastic fishery. But it's going to get pressured. So if you want to find a reliable spot that you can go to day after day in red snapper season, season after season, you need to put your kayak in the water somewhere away from that little rectangle of hope and start indexing areas. That's going to help you find fish. It'll help you find huge schools of fish. This year, so 2019 red snapper season, 2 weeks before the season kicked off, I found a brand new spot. When I first came over it, I came over the edge of it going to a different location. I was like, man, there's something there. I marked it. I didn't have anything good, but we were trolling and we were covering ground to achieve a goal. I was like, hey, let's pedal back over that. But instead of going over the same line, I missed by 20 yards on purpose, right? I missed. That's 20 yards is 60 feet, okay? So I missed by a big chunk, and I marked more fish. We slowed down, and a snapper ate our trolling line. Instantly told me, all right, that's a huge school of snapper here. You already found them on 2 marks. Drift back over it, see what you can find. We fished that spot for 2 straight weeks prior to red snapper season just to take pictures and release fish. I don't like fishing stuff that I know I'm going to harvest fish off of during the season because then you pressure them. I hammered that spot with clients day after day. every technique possible. There were just that many fish there. This is a place that I have pedaled over for 4 years, and I found that randomly 2 weeks before this snapper season. That's how important it is to gridlock an area. Because just because you pedal through here, I mean, doesn't mean there's not a fish, a whole school of fish right there. So it's important that you cover ground and make sure you're going over. It's tedious, it's time consuming, it's stupid, it's annoying, but it pays off. Those are places like that. I've done that every year. This year we found 2 spots like that. One turned out to be a great spot for triggerfish. We actually caught a keeper cobia there. Barely keeper cobia. It was close, but it was a keeper cobia. And yeah, the other spot turned out to be a fantastic snapper spot. Kicker is it was only 1.25 miles due south of the beach. It was right off the beach. We ended up fishing that spot over and over and over again. I bet you the last 6 trips of snapper season, I pedaled straight to it every morning and caught fish. Like caught nothing but 23 plus inch red snapper every single day. Forecast. No drop it down to the bottom, reel in a little one, unhook it, cast again. No, 4 keeper snapper, 4 quality snapper on 4 consecutive casts. Boom, 6 consecutive snapper. Boom, 8 consecutive snapper. We did that at least 6 days in a row to finish the season. That is rewarding, knowing that the time that you put in pedaling back and forth over all the random stuff has paid off. So how do we catch those snapper? RJ's question, tips on bottom fishing for red snapper. Well, what if I told you that we don't really bottom fish for red snapper? Years ago, I tried to catch a red snapper with a Carolina rig. It's not for me. I don't like it. I'm not a drop a bait to a bottom kind of guy. I like to be active. I like to watch things happen. So this year we used a few different techniques. One of which was the circle hook jig head. Obviously, these are made by Birds of Prey, fishing out Pensacola. Brian, his father, and his family. An awesome product. They do great. Catch a lot of quality fish on them. It works with live bait, but we use it mostly with chunks of bonita. Another thing that we use that I've never really told anybody on a public situation is red snapper rib cages. No joke. So you obviously can only use them during red snapper season, but instead of just throwing out scraps in the garbage, I used to take it out there and I chum some fish up. But I found myself this year just taking the rib cages, hooking the rib cage on here, pitching it out there in the current, just like a bonita. But the bonita is easy to get picked apart by triggerfish. The red snapper rib cage is not. We caught 1 snapper over 21 pounds on. So all 3 of our snapper over 21 pounds this year came on these jigs. 1 was on bonita, 1 was on, actually I lied, 2 were on bonita, and 1 was on a red snapper rib cage. These hooks do a fantastic job. They hold up well. This one fished, you can see some teeth marks in there if you can look close. Did a fantastic job, caught a bunch of fish. It's a fun technique. Obviously, we fish with clients year after year. We have a ton of repeat clients. So my goal was to switch it up and keep it interesting. If there's any kind of current, this stuff helps a lot, okay? Some days you go out there, it's slick as an onion, it's calm. And that's when we break out the circle hooks. Now, this is just a little tiny little 4/0 circle hook, little mustad, nothing special to it. Plenty of hook to catch these fish, okay? What we do with this is we take this stuff right here, just 30-pound fluorocarbon, same stuff we use with the jigs, just 30-pound fluorocarbon, water's crystal clear. We aren't dropping to the bottom. You're leaving this stuff up in the top 20 feet of the water column. So you don't need 80-pound fluorocarbon. This little guy right here, all you do is catch live bait in the morning, take that thing, hook it in the back just a little bit, pitch it out over the reef, let them swim. Get them away from the kayak though. Sometimes you can open the bail, sometimes they'll swim straight down. Sometimes they're smart, they'll stay at the kayak. So pitch it out in front of the kayak, let it swim around, thump. Don't set the hook. The fish is gonna eat it and the fish is gonna come down at you to an angle. It's gonna come underneath you, right? Just start reeling, address the fish, it'll come tight and it'll be perfectly vertical. Boom. And then just reel, just nice and easy. Just pick the rod tip up 6 inches, reel down. You don't have a huge hook, so you don't need to put a ton of pressure. Those fish are coming off the bottom, 67 feet of water, or they're in 30 feet, they're sitting in the column. They're coming up and they're eating that bait on the surface, 10 to 15 feet deep. They have a long ways to go to get back down. A lot of times once they come up, their swim bladder fills with air, so they're fighting their self on the way back down as well. You don't need to lay into them real hard. Just nice and easy, slow and steady will win that battle. So snapper fishing, it is really that easy. That's how we succeed right there. There's nothing to it. The most important part is putting the time in to locate fish. So even when they're not in season, I don't really like to fish from when they're not in season. Like this time of year, we're gonna troll. We're not gonna bottom fish. Okay, triggerfish is closed as well. It closed early, which is a shame, but it's just part of it. You can still go out there and grouper fish, which would be a different technique, but we'll talk about it some other time. As far as bottom fishing goes for red snapper, man, we don't bottom fish. I mean, I don't. I haven't really been too open about that in the past to everybody, but I don't fish on the bottom. Period. We're not dropping anything to the bottom ever. All that's going to do is, more often than not, the clients are going to get hung up and broke off because they're not ready for what's going to happen. My goal is to present the easiest possible way for clients to catch fish while keeping it exciting, okay? That's why every year we try to do a different method with repeat clients. I've had clients wear them out on this guy. I've had clients wear them out on this guy. I have another technique that involves chum, different setup entirely, that I have some clients wear it off when the water's clean. We had a lot of real green water this year, so visibility wasn't great. So at the end of the year, we used the live bait a lot because it's very interesting. It's very fun. But that's it, man. That's how we target red snapper from the kayak. The most important part is finding them. After that, I mean, this works, but really we catch a ton of them just trolling over the bottom spots. A lot of times in the morning, if we go on out and if we're trolling for king mackerel, we haven't caught a king and we still have bait on, we go over the snapper spot, we'll just pedal over here's the spot. We'll pedal right on past it. Once that bait gets there, slow down a little bit. The bait falls, whack, fish on, pedal, reel them in. You usually have yourself one keeper snapper before you even start bottom fishing. Keep all that stuff in mind. I know, RJ, I know you asked a bunch of questions about a bunch of different species, man. Try to keep it focused on one thing at a time just so, we can answer it as best as possible. I will keep your questions in the queue so we can address them at another time. If you guys are watching and you have other questions, we have a link below in our description called Submit Your Question. It'll allow you to open it up, takes you to our webpage. You can go in there, you add some generic information, and then ask your question. It pops up in a queue, and then I will take the time to answer it one at a time. We're still real busy. We're running a lot of fishing trips, lots of rentals, so it keeps me busy. Haven't had too much time to sit down. Been doing a lot of 3D printing as well. You can probably hear it in the background. I'll try to adjust it out of the audio so you can, but been doing a lot of 3D printing. It's pretty cool. New hobby, all right? I love it. If you guys have questions, don't be afraid to submit them or ask them below in the comments section. As always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I look forward to you booking your next adventure.